It's been a long time.
4 years isn't that long, Gladys.
How have you been?
I'm doing pretty great, thanks for asking. And you know why I'm doing great? Because I just finished playing one of the best games of the year.
You monster.
Hey, let's be professionals about this, okay? This is my review. As I was saying, it's hard to believe it's been 4 years since 2007's groundbreaking Portal. But how exactly do you follow up on one of the best games ever made? Well, you start by tripling its length, adding a co-op mode, and a whole lot of awesome. In short, Portal 2 does almost everything Portal 1 did, but better. It has a grander scope, new portal mechanics, fantastic puzzle design, and one of the funniest scripts I've ever heard.
Do you understand what I'm saying at all? Does any of this make any sense? Just tell me, just say yes. Okay, what you're doing there is jumping. You just jumped, but never mind.
That's Wheatley. He'll serve as your guide for the early part of the game. Speaking of which, Portal 2's first hour is one of the finest openings I've ever played. It starts off with an exhilarating escape sequence, followed by a tour of the overgrown and barely recognizable test facility, before ending with the reunion of an old friend.
Oh, it's you.
It's a lot crammed into a short time, and it's executed flawlessly. Of course, I had to wonder if Valve would be able to maintain this high standard throughout the rest of the adventure, and they did. They managed this by pacing the adventure in such a way that they're introducing new environments and gameplay mechanics on a regular basis. In fact, I can't even get over how many ideas they crammed into Portal 2. Most of these new mechanics involve funneling some kind of substance through the portals in creative ways. For instance, you'll come across 3 different kinds of gel as you play. These gels can paint parts of the environment, bestowing them with special abilities. Blue bounces you like a trampoline, orange makes you run fast, and white allows you to plant a portal on any surface. These gels are responsible for some of the most mind-melting puzzles this game has to offer. Speaking of puzzles, Portal 2 features some pretty tricky ones that, while they left me scratching my head, I almost never felt frustrated. This is largely because the solutions are always consistent with the game's logic. Not only are the puzzles better than the original, but the game's visuals have been improved too. Take the elevators for example. They used to be big and bulky, but now they look slick and streamlined. You'll also now see test chambers constructed before your very eyes. It's impressive. But the greatest advancement has to be the liquid gels. Not only do they look like a liquid, but they act like it too. When puddles touch, they'll join together, just like in real life, but break apart again when in freefall. It's a great effect that actually gives the liquid substance and volume, in stark contrast to the flat waterfalls of most other games. Okay, so I know some of you are wondering about the story. After all, that's one of the reasons the first game is so well known. And luckily, the story is really good, just not quite on the same level as the original. To be fair, I don't know what else Valve could have done. After all, the big mysteries were already solved in the first one, which loses some of that sense of wonder. Add to that one really goofy story twist and an ending that lacks emotional impact to the original, and you're left with a narrative not quite as profound as I had hoped. But like I said, the story is still really good, particularly by sequel standards. My only other real complaint is how often you see the loading screen. It pops up between every test chamber and after every death, which is pretty often throughout the game. Luckily, they are pretty short, so it's not that big of a deal. Despite these very minor problems, Portal 2 is one of the best games I've ever played. Even though it doesn't quite capture the same sense of mystery or the initial "holy shit that was amazing" reaction of the original, it exceeds it in almost every other area. The grander scope, new portal mechanics, fantastic puzzle design, and hilarious script more than make up for these deficiencies, which, I can't stress enough, are only evident by way of comparison. And even though the game triples the length of the original, it passes by just as fast. That's a true testament to the game's fantastic design. I don't think it's too early to say this is one of the best games you'll play all year. Portal 2 single player gets 5 companion cubes out of 5. As mentioned before, Portal 2 also comes with a robust cooperative campaign for 2 players with support for online and split screen. I think we can all agree that, in most cases, 2 brains are better than 1, right? Well, that probably explains why Valve cranked up the difficulty, as these puzzles are even more difficult than those in the main campaign. As such, teamwork is a must. If there were ever an argument for split-screen multiplayer, this is it. However, Valve did implement some handy tools for those playing online, such as marking where your partner should shoot a portal or displaying an automated countdown timer, ensuring you both stay in sync. Of course, nearly everything I said about the single-player campaign is true here as well. Great graphics, unique puzzles, and an especially nasty Gladys.
Very good. You've really come together as a team, thanks to the one of you who appears to be doing all of the work.
Oh Gladys, we wouldn't want it any other way. With Portal 2's cooperative campaign being among the best, it has earned itself another perfect score. But Gladys can say it better than I can, so take it away.
This was a triumph. I'm making a note here. huge success. It's hard to overstate my satisfaction